Sometimes the loudest applause comes when the curtain has already fallen. Stone, stunam, tindam, and the only thing left is silence. For Demet Özdemir, that silence began the day she left Italy and returned to Istanbul, not as a star, but as a woman with a wounded heart and shattered dreams. Behind her was the freedom she lived with Kanyaman, the creativity of a foreign country, and the feeling of not having to please anyone. Upon returning, she found herself in an environment that was no longer hers. Old expectations, familiar faces, and a female identity others wanted to define for her. Upon returning, she found herself in an environment that was no longer hers. Old expectations, familiar faces, and a female identity others wanted to define for her. Then Oğuzhan Koç appeared. Coincidence or calculation? What seemed like a romantic story gradually revealed itself as a strategy. Demet, emotionally vulnerable, accepted a script she hadn't written. The result was a relationship that covered wounds but didn't heal them. Meanwhile, the media kept comparing. Does she still think about Kan? Is all this the fault of the past? Unfair questions that reduced her to her love history and not to her inner journey. Few stopped to ask, "What do you want, Demet?" During that time, she was judged, watched, and even emotionally exploited. But something changed. At the end of the marriage with Oğuzhan, which ended with generic phrases in the press, Demet didn't just lose a relationship, she gained clarity. Today, Demet no longer needs to be someone's wife, she wants to be herself. We don't know if she looked back at Kan or if she forgave or forgot him. But we do know one thing, she forgave herself. This is not a story about love triangles. It is a lesson about how female vulnerability can be used or transformed into power. Demet fell, yes, but she also got up. And this time not as the heroine of a romantic series, but as the author of her own story. This story is not just about an actor who couldn't say goodbye. It's about how a society chooses to treat its artists, those who represent it to the world. If a country closes its doors to those who think differently, what is lost is not only talent, but dignity. Turkey gave her everything. He was the one who couldn't sustain that trust. Now it's time for Kan to ask himself, where did I fail? Because only by facing his own mistakes can he rebuild himself. Time does not forgive. New faces, new stories are already gaining ground. Young, committed, disciplined actors. Kan needs to reclaim his place, not with glamour, but with truth. A short, intense series on a digital platform, far from media noise, could be the perfect opportunity. Today, people don't talk about his series, only about brand ads and poses, and that has broken the bond with the audience. For many, Kan seems more like a showcase than a storyteller, and the audience grows tired of idols who don't communicate. They don't want a star, they want a human being. Can he come back? Yes, but only if he leaves arrogance behind, is honest with himself, and shows up as someone who wants to start over. Because being famous is easy. The hard part is staying human. And that's what people really value. For a long time, I followed Demet Özdemir's journey closely, and the more I watch her, the more I confirm she is a woman who chose silence as a shield. While many talk, invent, or criticize her, she remains firm, elegant, and focused on her path. In a world where everything is exposed and exaggerated, she has protected her space, moving forward without shouting or exposing herself more than necessary. The world discovered her alongside Kanyaman in Daydreamer, a story that marked a whole generation and sparked great admiration for both. But unlike many, Demet never used that relationship as a springboard. She didn't seek the spotlight through scandals or controversial statements. On the contrary, she stayed respectful and reserved, never entering the game of rumors or responding to those who tried to pit her against her past. Demet represents a kind of artist who doesn't need to attract attention to stand out. She works consistently, chooses meaningful projects, and commits fully to them. Every role she plays is imbued with her energy and sensitivity. That shows her career is not a matter of chance, but of years of effort and conscious choices. I've often seen people reduce her merit to beauty or luck, but those of us who have followed her for a long time know her path has been full of effort, perseverance, and incredible inner strength. I have often seen people reduce her merit to beauty or luck, but those of us who have followed her for a long time know her path has been full of effort, perseverance, and incredible inner strength. She went through tough times, endured criticism, and lived delicate personal processes. But she never lost focus. Not even when the press tried to label her as Can Yaman's ex, as if her identity depended on that story. Some people call her distant, as if protecting her private life were a flaw. But to me, it's the exact opposite. It shows emotional intelligence and maturity. Demet understood that nothing is gained by reacting to every provocation, and that true strength lies in staying true to oneself. In a world that rewards scandal, she chooses balance. Yet, she hasn't lost her humanity. Just watch her interact with fans in interviews or everyday gestures to see that she's still a close, simple, and authentic person. She hasn't let fame change her. Her gaze is still clear, her smile sincere, and her words thoughtful. That's why it bothers me when her value is still linked to her old relationship with Can. It's time to understand they are different people with different paths. What they shared was beautiful, yes, but Demet is much more. She is a woman who has evolved without clinging to the past, an artist who moves forward with confidence without losing her essence. Today, while others cling to nostalgia, she keeps building her present. Today, while others cling to nostalgia, she keeps building her present, and that, in my opinion, makes her even greater. She doesn't need noise to leave a mark. Every decision she makes, every project she embraces, every silence she keeps, speaks for her. Demet Özdemir has shown who she is through her attitude and continues to reaffirm it with every new stage she undertakes.